Welcome, everybody, to another midweek. We hope you guys had a great Sunday. If you guys did not know, it was Pastor John's last service. So now we are in a period of transitioning with our new interim pastor, Pastor Josh Gerbrock. This is going to be an exciting time, and we hope that you guys stick it through as new amazing things are coming in. And today, I think I want to introduce two lovely ladies right here. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Well, you can go first.
Well, my name is Glasel, and I am part of the Next Gen ministry. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm Pastor Candace Delahuse, and I oversee operations here at First Assembly.
Now, there are two major days out the year in church that's a big deal. The first one is Christmas, and then the second one is Easter. And I think in a few weeks we're about to have that. When I think of Easter, I know we bring up the theological, the biblical foundation, obviously the gospel and the resurrection of Christ, but I also like to think about just the moments you have with family in Easter. Do you guys have any traditions or stories or things you guys do during the time of Easter?
Yeah, my family, since I was little, which this is going to be interesting because this is like the first year being married. So
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm still getting this, but every year, Mom, shout out to you, she would make us an Easter basket full of candy. And obviously, that wasn't the emphasis for Easter. The emphasis was Jesus and He's risen, but that was something added that my mom liked to do for all the kids. And so I'm pretty sure Tyler will be in on it this year and receive the basket with me from my mom if she's doing them, but because she always does them every year. But our favorite candy in there were this size, like egg size Cadbury cream eggs, Cadbury cream filled eggs. Have you guys ever had those?
No.
Yeah?
What is
No? Okay, they're like these eggs, right? And they're literally the shape of an egg, and they're wrapped in foil, and they have like the Cadbury cream egg logo on them, and they have a cream filling inside them. They're chocolate, and they have a cream filling. And we would put them in the fridge and just take a bite. The best. I'm like craving that right now. I will get you one, Izzy. I
Right.
think you need to try it.
I'm going to try it.
Wes, Josh, I'll get you guys some too. Our camera work here. I'll get you guys some Cadbury cream eggs.
That's funny. What about you, Glasel?
For my family, we actually did growing up. We did a lot of egg hunting, the Easter egg hunting.
Yeah.
And I would also receive an Easter basket, but not from my mom's side, actually on my dad's side of the family. I would always receive an Easter basket and filled with candy. And obviously with the same purpose, not to emphasize too much on the basket, but what is the real purpose of Easter? But like Pastor Candace said, it's just the fun in it, of having all the candy. My favorite candy is actually Sour Patch Kids. Yeah, I really like that candy. I'm not a big fan of candy, but I really like the Sour Patch.
Okay.
Do they have an Easter egg or Eastery themed Sour Patch Kid?
Honestly, the ones that I've gotten, they're it's an egg and inside is the candy. Just that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I don't know if this is a thing. I know. So I grew up more in a black church, and I know for Easter we dress up, but we dress up in some really funny color coordination.
Yeah.
Like dudes be wearing pink pants and a white T-shirt with a pink top hat as their Easter suit, or you have some women wearing large, colorful, light blue blouses. I think I have pictures as a kid where I was just wearing the wackiest color coordination for Easter. I wonder if that's the same for you guys at your churches. Do you guys have to wear certain? Do you have to be color coordinated with your family, or it's just we're wearing the same clothes as we did on a regular Sunday?
I don't think it's a have to. I just think it's something people tend to do is dress up a little bit more on Easter. You have people that come who haven't maybe been to church in a very long time, so they're feeling like they need to dress up. And then Easter tends to be a day too, I think, that a lot of families always just get together, so they want to have an opportunity to take a photo together. So naturally, when you take a photo, you kind of dress up more. But you're totally right. I think the pastel colors totally come out during Easter for some reason, and it's spring, I guess, too.
Yeah, the
so
spring colors.
it makes sense, but it's just, yeah.
One thing I am excited though, Izzy, are you going to be dressing up that Easter like that?
Do you want me to?
Oh, we would love to.
I'm gonna wear.
We would
I'm
love
gonna
to see
wear.
you.
I'm gonna wear like a jumpsuit with Easter colors, like a lavender blue,
A
a
jumpsuit?
light pink. Yeah, jumpsuit. Wear
Like, it's like a one-piece
Yeah.
suit?
yeah, one piece suit, like sweatpants and a sweatshirt or a sweat jacket. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. If you're watching,
Oh.
please comment in the chat
Yeah.
Outfit
Should-
ideas for Izzy to
What
help
should
him.
Izzy wear for Easter? Put that
help
in the
him look
comment section.
better.
Get a vote going on.
Because we want him to look okay for that family photo.
I'm thinking a whole jumpsuit, like an Easter jumpsuit. You know, like you got the pink and green and
I've
what are
never
they? What,
heard of an Easter jumpsuit.
Never.
you never heard of Easter jumpsuit? They have it on this brand called Fubu. I don't know if you heard of Fubu. It's for us by us. They have like a whole bunch of jumpsuits there, and they have different colors. I think they have an Easter brand color jumpsuit.
Fubu?
Yeah, Fubu.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy Pastor Josh Gerbach some Fubu
Okay.
for his birthday.
Julie, that's Pastor Josh's wife. We're warning you, do not let your husband get anything.
Wait,
from
you haven't
Izzy.
seen it yet. Don't
That's
judge me.
true, I'm
It
judging.
could be like the flyest suit. He might come up on stage with the flyest suit. Everybody's like, man, like that sweatsuit's amazing. Where you get that at? And then the Fubu brand in the back of it.
But for sure though, I think it's not anything that you have to wear though. I want to just reiterate that if someone's watching and they've never come to church and they're coming on Easter,
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to dress up or anything. But people tend to because it's just getting family together and people like to do that. But
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's one of the largest attendance too. Typically, yeah, I don't think you should be judged for dressing a certain way on Easter.
yeah.
Like come as you are, obviously. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing of Easter is not what you wear, but coming in and having an opportunity to hear the gospel and the resurrection of Christ, because that's kind of what is like the pivotal foundation of Christianity. I believe that's far more important than what you dress. But it is kind of nice to see people, wear some cool outfits. I just want to see someone wear something really creative, like come in with like a whole like trench coat with a top hat, like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that would
Yeah.
be cool. I think Izzy, we should get me and Gliselle. Maybe we'll get him some bunny ears.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
is that appropriate? Probably not.
No, I'm 6 feet tall. That's gonna be scary. One
I
time,
can totally see that.
funny story. Before we start questions, when I was in college, this was like I didn't realize how scary it was. I thought it would be funny and adorable, but it was actually terrifying. So I have a giant like bunny like hat, like mask, like with the ears and the face and everything. And then one day
Why?
for Easter, I think it was for that Easter weekend, I went and like wore it and I walked around the city with it. On the social media, I think I blew up. I think that's like the most I ever blew up, and it wasn't. People didn't know it was me. I was walking around 6 feet tall with a hoodie, sweatpants on, with a giant buddy suit, and people were freaking out. Like, oh my goodness! And then I didn't realize what I was wearing was scary looking until I walked. This is gonna be really sad. Until I walked in, and there was a couple kids, and they were like terrified. They're like, ah! I was like, wait, what's going on? Izzy, take that off. I was like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
so
not bring that to church.
Yeah. So like no bunny suit for me. I think there's gonna be a height requirement. Like if you're over 5'5", do not wear a bunny suit.
Man, I didn't know we were gonna learn more about you in this midweek
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
interview.
this is I'm just opening up for my sins. So if y'all don't know what just happened, as we were talking, a balloon just popped in the back and it freaked everybody out.
Mainly you.
Mostly me. I was startled, and
And
Wes. We got startled a little bit. We almost ran off, but God is good.
The whole stage has decorations on from Sunday, balloons, everything for Pastor John's last service, and they're lively right now.
That's funny.
They're just popping.
But let's get to these questions. This is funny. So today's topic is about compassion. I think this is a fun topic. I don't think we haven't really talked much about this on midweek or a lot lately, and I think maybe it's a very needed discussion. 'Cause I think in ministry, you work with people. I think someone told me the best thing And the worst thing about doing ministry is the people. Because you have people that you work with or do ministry with that's great, and then you have some, that needs what we would say extra grace for, right? And but I think compassion could interwovens with both. So I guess the first question, I'll start with you, Glasell, is how you navigate in leading through those who hardship. How do you navigate with compassion with those who are dealing with hardship?
Oh man, it's not easy for sure. It's definitely not easy, but through the compassion, you kind of put yourself in their shoes for a bit. Just try to understand a little bit what they're going through, but at the same time, it's like, how do I help this individual overcome whatever they're going through, the situation they're going through? Because I think there's also like a difference between empathy and compassion. And empathy just means you feel for the person, but compassion comes in and say, okay, let me help this individual. How can I help this individual? And that's actually something I have to face a lot as well, not only here like at church, but outside of church too. In my internship that I do, I have to show compassion with the clients that I'm working with, and say, how do I help these individuals? And one thing that honestly I constantly have in my mind is I pray. I'm like, Lord, like, how I pray that you give me the wisdom and the knowledge to help this individual. How do I navigate that? They're still able to see through me, they're able to see your love and the light and the purpose that you have for them. And so it's not easy, but I know that God, throughout the time, God has been helping me a little bit more. And especially when it comes down to hardships, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think especially so explain if you could to your internship and kind of what sort of situations you've been put. You don't have to go into detail with your situations, but like because for those that don't know, you're in this internship. What exactly is that?
Okay. So I'm in at an internship for my program. I'm doing my master's in social work. So at my internship, I work with students. I do my internship at a school district. And so when I'm working with students, I take them in as clients, and at this, like, I kind of talk to the parents as well as like, oh, wait, why are you referring your child to me? And in some situations, it's more like, oh, my child's going through anxiety, or my child, they're grieving, they just lost a family member. And it can go a lot deeper than that. Like, once you start knowing the individual, once you start knowing the background of the student and the family, it's a lot more to it. And so for that moment, that's when I come in and say, okay, how am I going to help this individual? What kind of resources am I going to provide to help them? I don't want to say get out of the place that they're at, but more of like giving them empowerment, encouraging them to, hey, I'm helping you, but you you take it and you decide whether or not you want to practice it. And hold on, I lost my train of thought. Whether or not you want to take it and you practice it in your life, and how it's going to change your life. And that's where self-determination comes in. So me, as showing compassion, it's like, for people here at the church, like, I'm here for you, I'm listening to you, but I also want to help you. And by helping, I say, okay, you know what, let's pray together, let's look what the Bible says and stuff. And sometimes, like, people just want you to hear them out, and with time, that, like, I feel like that's what compassion is really about, just being there for the person. And sometimes you don't really have to understand the individual, but as long as you're there and say, okay, I'm hearing you out and I'm here for you, and I'm walking here with you.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's kind of, I don't know, like when it comes to compassion, you hit the nail like completely. It's just that recognition of noticing, I think, the need of like when a person is going through hardship, when they're going through difficulties, when they're feeling like just so many things are piling up on top of them. I think as individuals, just being a person that's like, just saying like, hey, I hear you and I'm sorry you're going through this, or just recognizing that need, because some people don't even feel like they're even noticed, or like I just think of, I think of Jesus, and he is navigating through all the crowds. And in Scripture, in Matthew 9, it says he felt compassion on them, or he showed compassion to them, like they're being led like sheep without a shepherd, and they're lost. Like he saw that, and so I think compassion really, if this makes sense, I think it's that mindset we have of discerning and noticing what's around us, going on around us, and recognizing the needs around us. Like just being in a mindset of like, what would Jesus say, or how would he see that person? Because we get so busy and we get so caught up in our own day and our own things that we do, that compassion is not always at the forefront of our mind. Like I think your job with your work is like you're constantly put in those positions where you have to show compassion. And I think in ministry as well too. But outside of work and outside of what we're doing, are we in a mindset of showing compassion and having that in the forefront of our brain, like the Jesus mindset? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Explain more about the Jesus mindset when it comes to compassion. Like, what does that look like? Like, how does Jesus show compassion onto others?
Yeah. So me and Gliselle were talking a little bit before this too. It goes with action. So, like we go back to Scripture and the feeding of the 5,000. Jesus notices they're there all day following him and everything, and he knows they're hungry. He didn't just say like, "Oh, I'm sorry you're hungry. You guys have been here all day." Like he didn't have an answer to what to do. I mean, maybe he did because he's Jesus, but he knew like, okay, we got to feed them. May not have all the resources in front of me, but with faith, we're going to feed them. And he did. Like, so compassion is he felt for the crowd and then he did something about it. So it followed with action. So I think the way that I would say for us is like, okay, putting on the Jesus mindset, like I said earlier, okay, noticing a situation, seeing a need, recognizing that there's something going on, and then finding out what you can do about it. What is your part? And maybe there's not always something that you and your own resources can do, but at least just recognizing the need and praying about it and asking God, like, show me what I can do. Show me who to talk to. How can I be a help in this situation? I think is super key. Man, I feel like I'm going on a rant now, but what's that song? I heard it on the radio the other day. Like, there's a song about God. Why wouldn't you do something? Like, why don't you do something about this, this, and this? And then the song goes like, well, the Lord said, I created you. Like, we complain about all these things that are happening, but God's answer is, but I made you. Like, you're supposed to be the solution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, he's made all these people, all of us in our own unique way, to be the solution to different things going on in the world, to show compassion in our own abilities. So
That's good.
yeah, I went all over the place with that. I'm so sorry. I always do that, Izzy. I'm sorry.
No, you're straight. Listen, do you have anything to add on to that?
No, yeah, it's definitely what Pastor Candace said. It's like we think about, okay, like what she said, we complain to Jesus, we complain to the Lord, like why? But it's something that's definitely been putting in that's in my mind. It's like sometimes we think about like the WWJD, what would Jesus do? But it's like, no, it's like, what would Jesus want you to do? And so that was good. It's true.
Yeah. And it looks like, I think the root of it obviously is the love factor, right? So like God is love, and the love of Christ is huge when it comes to showing compassion. And I guess my next question, I guess for you guys, is that what does that mean to you? Like what does love mean to you, and how do you use compassion to formulate that love?
Yeah. If I may, like, this was just a couple months ago. We were here at church all day, me and my husband, doing our thing, helping out and serving. And the second we got in the car to go home, I took my shoes off because my feet were killing me. And we stopped in a parking lot to pick up something at the store. And I'm on a time crunch. I'm like, we have to be home by this time. This person's coming by. Like, we need to be home. I need to clean the counter, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're in the parking lot about to go. And then a woman comes and knocks on the car window asking for us to buy her some food. And for a split second, if I'm being honest, just for a split second, I'm like, oh, I don't have time for that. Like you get that way, and
Yeah.
that's so sinful. But we're human, and we get caught up in our day and our routine. And thank the Lord for my husband. He rolls down the window, and he's right away, and he's like, "What can I get for you?" And we get her the food, and then it didn't stop there either. Like, I put my boots back on because I needed to get out of the car. We got out of the car, and we got to talk to this woman in the parking lot. And I think when it comes to love being at the center, I think of that verse in that Paul, I'm thinking it's in Corinthians, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's, I can have all the gifts, the tongues of men, all the everything, but without love, it's nothing. And so we could be doing all these things for the Lord, or in our jobs, or in our areas of ministry, or whatever you're doing. You could be doing all the right things, but if you don't have love at the forefront of laying down everything else and sacrificing your time when it's uncomfortable, or when it wasn't a part of your plan, then it's nothing. And so I just thought of that moment, and it was a cool moment that we got to have that wasn't on the schedule or planned or anything, but it was one of those things. And I just go back to have that Jesus mindset. He puts those situations in your life when maybe you're super busy and you're not even realizing it. Well, what are you going to do? It's like a test. Like, what are you going to do when the test comes your way?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's good. No, and that's part of having unconditional love, because I feel like nowadays when we talk about love, we just kind of talk about the conditional love. Like, if you give me love, I'm going to give you love. Like, it's something in return. But unconditional love, that's not what it's about. It's like you give, but knowing like you're not going to receive anything from it, but you still have the heart of it to love that person, or whether they're strangers or not. Like, you know what? Like, I love you. Like, I care for you, and it's so funny how you kind of talked about how sacrificing our time. And I wrote that I was reading Ephesians 5:2. It says, live a life filled with love, following the example of Christ. He loved us and offered himself as a sacrifice. So we should sacrifice our time, sacrifice whatever we're doing, even if it's a meal, like, oh, okay, I'm sacrificing my meal and I'll give it to you, and through that is forgiveness too. Part of unconditional love is forgiveness and letting go of like whatever happened, and it's still showing compassion, and walk with the person and say, you know what, I'm not going to hold on to whatever happened, because that's already part of the conditional love, but unconditional love is what the Lord wants us to have. And in order for us to have unconditional love, it's, we have to get closer to the Lord too. It's like, Lord, like, show me how your love really is, so I can also give it to others.
yes. That's good.
Well, with that being said, with showing that love, has there anybody outside of Jesus, obviously, has there been anybody in your life that showed you compassion or love, Gliselle?
Outside of church, yeah. So I feel like when you asked me this question, I was really meditating on it. I was like, who has shown me compassion in my life outside? But I want to say many people. I want to say like family and stuff, but other outside of family, I want to say one of the times that I'm never going to forget it, but last semester when I was in school around November, well, I was struggling. I was not having the greatest couple months. I was struggling mentally, physically, and spiritually, to the point where I felt like the world around me was just falling apart. And no matter what I did, trying to pick up the pieces, it just kept falling. But I was talking to my professor, and let me just clarify this. So I'm pretty sure in social work, it's a very hard profession when it comes down to your spiritual life.
Yeah.
Because you will be put in spots where it's like you have to go. They talk about a lot of things. They talked about against the Lord and everything, but that's when your faith comes in. I'm like, no, Lord, like you are my firm foundation. I'm gonna trust you. You put me here for a reason, and I know there's a purpose behind it, and it's you. And so, anyway, so I was going through it, and I met with the professor because we needed to talk about like my progress in class and everything. But again, that week was the hardest week. I was just not. A lot of things were going on personally, and through that I just broke down. I broke down, and like the Lord knows, because turns out that she's a believer. My professor is a believer.
Yeah.
And through that moment, she didn't understand. She couldn't relate much to what I was going through, but she still heard me. And after that, like, she showed me, she's like, you know what, like, I'm here to help you. I'm going to help you no matter what. Just come to me. And she gave me a couple of resources that I needed. But at the same time, she said something to me that I'm never going to forget. And she said, like, as long as you have God as your foundation, you know, he is your solid rock on which you stand on, like, nothing is going to come against you, not even in this profession.
Yeah.
And so to me, that moment, I definitely needed that, you know, and that's somebody that I've actually received, I consider it as compassion towards my life in that moment.
Wow. Wow, that's so good. And it's funny because that was unexpected. You wasn't looking for it. It just came, especially in that time where you needed it the most. And it's interesting because compassion could be many variations. It's not just words. It could be somebody providing you something. It could be maybe a thought. It could be a text message. It could be encouragement. Like, it's something that you show to others. Maybe it's an expression of grace, an expression of admiration for somebody. I think there's a level of compassion when it comes to forgiving somebody as well. I think that's really dope to hear how, like, even in your hard times where you're going to school, and especially in an environment where, because I know how that social work, case study, clinical trials lifestyle is you live by rules that are not really biblically based. So you wrestle with that a lot, and have somebody encourage you, say, hey, like, keep doing your thing, like, keep going, and make sure God's the foundation of it is really, really encouraging. Thank you for sharing that, honestly. What about you, Candace?
Well, first off, you got through the semester.
I did.
Woohoo! But
Thank the Lord.
and also too, I just think to go with that, like, God's so good. He puts people in situations to be a blessing to other people, to show compassion to other people, and, like, he just aligns it the right way, where, like, your professor was so gracious with you and like working with you, and I think it's a reminder for all of us to always show grace to one another. And God's going to continue to put us in situations to do that for other people. And that way we're a part of their story of showing compassion to them, you know? But honestly, same thing, I meditated on this question, and I'm like, you just have a moment where you're like, man, Lord, you've really blessed us. And I was like, starting to go down the list of how many times people have showed grace on me or been compassionate towards me. And man, and I go back to that moment with the woman in the parking lot, because sometimes you people try to, like, knock on your window for who knows what. Like, we had someone trying to break into someone's car the other day, or a friend of someone I know, and for a moment I get the defenses come up in that parking lot. I'm like, what is this lady trying to do? But she just wanted she wanted food, and I think. So this is my answer. My husband, the way that he showed compassion to her and led the moment in our car too, for me, of like, no, like, let's give her a second to see what she has to say, because even she had, like, a pipe sticking out of her strap, and I didn't know what to expect, and I just think, like, that compassion he showed her, I just want to highlight my husband right now. Like, he's been such a compassionate person in my life too, and the way I've just seen him lead through different things in his life. Tyler, you show that all the time to so many people. And then I just think of even my dad was someone that I've always looked up to in this too, because in times of so I grew up with 12 brothers and sisters. I know a lot of you may not know that. All of us 100% related. It's crazy. My family, love them to death. But when you have a big family, it can be sometimes a little tough to make ends meet all the time. But whenever God put my dad in a situation where maybe he needed to give even out of, like, what little he had, I always saw him do that. And that's where I've always just seen, like, okay, that's the way you need to live. So you may not think you have those resources to do something for others, but let's go back to Jesus, or to the Good Samaritan, and the man, the ratted, tattered Jewish man on the ground on the side of the road. A Levite passed him. and didn't do anything. A priest passed him and didn't do anything. These people that have more resources. But it was the Samaritan who was despised in that culture, in that time, by Jews that did something that maybe didn't have anything to offer except lifting this man up, and helping him up. He offered that compassion. So I don't even know if that was the right answer to give, but I was just thinking about that. Like, I think of my dad, maybe didn't always have a ton to offer, but always offered out of what he did have. And that just has always stood out to me.
Yeah.
So.
And how does that, as these people that impact you in compassion, how does that affect you in your life as a leader and as a minister, as a pastor?
Oh, man. Majorly. I think I tend to, I was telling you this earlier, I tend to go from thing to thing. I have a to-do list on my phone for every single day and in my planner, and I check mark it off, and I go down the list. And it always is this thing that the Lord continues to show me is, slow it down, Sister Candace, and forget the list. Here's what I have for you today. And you never want to miss an opportunity to be used by God, because that's crucial.
Yeah.
I would much rather go off of what Gliselle said. What would Jesus want me to do in this situation, rather than my own self and what I've planned that day? Because like I said, that moment in the parking lot with the woman, that was so cool. And she was so touched. She's like, man, I just don't even know what to do with what you guys just did for me. And it wasn't just the giving of the cheeseburger, but it was also just the talking with her in the parking lot when it was uncomfortable. My feet were killing me, you know what I mean? But God stopped us in that moment. So, just thinking of people like that, like my dad, like Tyler, you may not always felt like you had a ton to give in that situation or in those moments, but just being present in those moments of God, what can I do, has always taught me, in my ministry, what can I do right now? So, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes absolute sense. That's really good. What about you, Gliselle?
Can you say your question again?
I'll rephrase it. With the people that may have given you compassion in your life, how do you use that? Maybe more towards the field of social work and onto others, or even in next gen and other forms of ministry. How has others showing compassion to you affect you in your walk as a leader and as a person who pours into others?
Okay, so how does compassion affect me?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, when they're showing me their compassion? Sorry, repeat the question. I'm so sorry.
All right. So for example, so the lady that showed you compassion.
Okay, yeah.
And as you were going to school, how has that affected you as a leader, as a minister, and as a future social worker?
Oh, so it has shown me, the way she showed me the compassion, it made me think okay, I also need to keep it going.
Yeah.
I have to keep it going. I can't just stop and kind of just take it in. No, whatever she shared with me, I want to be sharing it with others. And it's so funny, in our life group a couple weeks ago, I met this with this girl, and even through my I was giving her a little bit of my testimony, and it turns out she was going through the same thing that I had gone through, and she was struggling. She's like, well, I'm struggling. How can I don't know what to do. And so at that moment, I said, you know what, let me help you. In my mind, I thought, let me help you. But I gave her, you know what, trusting, the first thing out of everything, it's trusting the Lord. And it's more easier said than done, but honestly, for me, I told her, trusting the Lord in the process is what helps you get through it, And so, and in social work, and when I have to do my hours and when I do my internship, it's something that obviously I can't really talk about Bible when it comes down to the clients, unless the parents give me permission. But behind it, I pray behind it. And as I'm talking to the student, in my mind, I'm praying. I'm like, okay, Lord, what else should I do? What should I say? How should I lead? And a lot of it is just showing love to them, because a lot of people you come across, a lot of people don't know what really love is. They've been, some of them come from abuse, some of them come from dysfunctional families, and that's the hard part. But at the moment, it's okay, Lord, help me give them the love that they've never received, that they're able to see your love through me. They're able to see your light, and even if it's like the smallest thing, even if it's just a hug, that they're able to feel your love through that hug. And so that's something I feel like compassion should be keep going. Don't just stop it. Just if you receive it outside of church, bring it in the church, and so for me is just keep it going.
That's good.
Wow, that's really good. For those that are watching, what would you want them to take out of all of this?
Honestly, that there is people wanting to hear them out. Like I feel like there's times where people think, well, no, like my thing is not that important or whatever I'm going through. I don't want to like put a burden on other people by venting. No, and you talking about it, that's where the healing starts. You being able to like speak about it and letting go, that's when your healing process begins. But at the same time, I feel like here at church, like honestly, there's a lot of people that whoever is listening, like if you're having a tough moment, like that's what the church is for. The church doesn't want perfection. The church wants you to come the way you are, because that's what God wants us, because God wants to do something with what you're going through, because that whatever you're going through is not going to define who you are. And so I feel like there is help. There is people who you can talk to and can give you compassion. But there's also those people where it's like, I want to give compassion, but I don't know where to start. Honestly, I feel like here at church, coming and connecting with others is a good start as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like people are here for you, just because at the end of the day, it's not about us, it's about the Lord, and God wants you, wants your heart.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the audience here. Maybe there's some watching who have maybe never even felt like no one's showed them compassion in their life, or they can't really pinpoint those moments right now. I would say, especially if you're going through hardship, what I like to do is start by counting, not literally like counting, but count your blessings. That saying, like, I start to think about what I am thankful for, and like where I'm at today, what I can be thankful for, the blessings in my life. But also, I think if you're watching and you've been hurt by even Christians or whoever, you can change that trajectory right now by asking God, how can I show kindness to others? Maybe I haven't been shown kindness at all. Maybe no one's really looked after me. No one has lended me a hand or shown me, like, lend me money when I need it, or whatever's going on. But maybe it's your chance to change that. And I would say, like, take a moment and ask God, how can I put on a mindset like Jesus, where in Jesus' ministry, nothing was like an itinerary ever.
Yeah.
It just he did healings, he did miracles, he came by people's bedsides, he turned water into wine as he was going about his day, doing different things, going to different things. Those are when the miracles happen. So as you're in your day, ask the Lord, how do you want to use me today? How can I show compassion, especially in an era of time that we're at, where for a while we were in survival mode. Like, I just had a flashback back to all the people meeting with me in the chapel. We were trying to fill boxes to give food to homes, and that team of people were so compassionate, because they weren't even sure when they were going to be able to get toilet paper from Walmart, because we were so short that day or that time in 2020, but they still did it. And so, like, for us today, when people have been in this survival mode of just trying to protect themselves, a lot of us have kind of been that way. And especially, like, things are not as safe as they used to be either. There's just so many different things happening all the time. Still, how can you get out of your comfort zone and show compassion to someone? I'm asking myself that question too, because we get so busy, like I said, like busy in the day, and even in ministry. How can I go the extra mile today and show compassion to someone? What does that look like? What does that look like? Is that going to be here in the church office in a little bit as I'm back there working on some things? Or is it going to be when I'm pulling out of the parking lot and someone's walking by at the stoplight? What can I do? And so I think we all need to kind of look at our situations, where we're at, where God's placed us and ask the Lord, for one, God, help me to have a heart like yours. Break my heart for what breaks yours. I think we get so self-centered sometimes, and I'm speaking from experience, like we get caught up in our own stuff. But Lord, help me to see what you see, and how can I be a good positive influence on someone who's maybe never felt that anyone's acted with compassion towards them. So,
Man, I think this is a very necessary conversation for a lot of people. I think that I think you hit the word you hit was sometimes we can become self-centered and very selfish, and compassion is very, very generous, and it's a very selfless thought because you have to think of others to be compassionate. Definitely a very important thing that we all need to work on, from the top to the bottom, and everything in between, and that whiteout, pastors, people in the pews, like that's something that I think needs to be grown within us. And as we grow closer with Christ and we grow more in our word and with Jesus, like the application of it is definitely the compassionate factor of it. The love for people and the desire to work with them and pour into them. And that's a very vital aspect of being Christian. And I think you hit it like the nail on the coffin, Candace, with that statement. You too, Glisella. I think this is very important. I want to thank you guys for just giving such a very important word for it. And I want to thank you guys as well for just watching and listening. I hope you guys like really take in the meat and the meaning behind what this means, because I think in today's culture today, compassion is needed more than ever. People feel lost, and a lot of people don't feel loved, and they feel like they may feel hopeless a little bit. And I think that ounce of compassion that we can provide as Christians is necessary. It's necessary for those that are watching. It's necessary for us. It's necessary for people in the pews and people outside. The whole world needs that. And I think this is the perfect place to being a Christian is a perfect place to be at, because you learn and you grow and you build those characteristics of loving others and kindness and gentleness, and I think that's necessary. So thank you guys again for like coming in and speaking and having this discussion. I had a really good time. There wasn't much I needed to say because I was just listening and hearing you guys, and wow, this was really good. And thank you guys too for watching and just taking in what these two wonderful women are saying. And I think we have to acknowledge that people need these things. People need to be heard. People need to find that support. And I think as a community, I think that's our job. I think that's our job as Christians, to show love to others. One of the greatest commandments is love your neighbor as yourself. Right after you loving God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength. But yeah, this was good. This was really good. I think before we close out, just want to remind you that this week will be the first week Pastor Josh Gerbrock will be preaching and leading our church, and I'm excited. He's got really great ideas, and I know he's got a vision for us, and I know he's prayerful, he's careful, he's moving by the Spirit. So like, I want us to be all in support for this, and I want us to, as much as we all love Pastor John and everything, he's in a better position now, and he's going to be going to new heights. And as Pastor Josh is on the rise, that we can be in support with him as well, and praying for him and have God help him lead us to greater lengths. Also, next week we won't be having another midweek. We'll take a little break and then come back again the week after for just some new, fresh ideas and new, fresh content and new creative ways to expand more. So next week we'll have Pastor Wayne just deliver a weekly teaching. And for those who are still looking for community, we still have the Facebook community. Brain fart.
Get you some coffee.
The coffee's running out. Yeah, we have the Facebook community group. So if you guys want to be a part of something and you're unable to come to church in person, I think that's a great platform to have. You can also find us on Instagram and on YouTube as well. We obviously have our live stream services, and we love you guys and we appreciate you guys coming and just watching again. Anything else you guys want to say before we close out?
Thank you for
Yeah,
having
thank you.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming. I'm very appreciative. I'm gonna bring you gifts.
No, you don't need to bring gifts.
No.
But there was one thing.
Yeah.
Pastor Josh Gerbrocht, his favorite candy, because we were talking about candy at the beginning of
Yeah.
this. Peanut M&Ms. And he likes the peppermint mocha. No whip from Starbucks. He's
Peppermint
going to be
mocha,
mad that I'm telling everyone.
No whip, and the yellow bag M&Ms.
The yellow bag.
Get
The
the yellow
best
bag.
ones. Those are my favorite. My dad's favorite too. Dad, I'll shout out to you.
It's
You
a
have good
dad.
taste.
It's a dad's favorite. So
Yeah.
all you fathers out there, I'm just kidding.
Peanut M&Ms.
The yellow bag.
Yeah.
But thank you guys again for just coming in, and thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys in a couple weeks. Have a great, fresh new time as spring is coming around, and we are hitting that nice weather, and we'll see you soon.